Hey, if you're a fan of the movie A Christmas Story, you're gonna love this.
A Marcellus man's Lego recreation of the Parker family home from A Christmas Story is gaining national attention. And if it gets enough attention, the design may just be available in stores someday.
Fans of the movie A Christmas Story will like this.
Yeah, the Ohio home made famous by it may soon be an official Lego set.
If you love Legos and you also happen to love the classic movie A Christmas Story, and I do, perhaps you should plan a trip to Syracuse. A resident there has built a replica of the famous yellow house from the movie out of Legos.
Well, there's this iconic house in The Christmas Story. People can even sleep there now.
I've heard that. You can visit it.
Yeah, you go visit it, you can sleep in the thing, it's pretty cool. Well, there's a man who loves Legos, and about a year ago, he and his daughter decided, let's build that out of Legos. Well, by golly, they did.
Oh, that's pretty good. Jason Midoff from Syracuse, New York, created the yellow house out of Lego bricks. He built it for his daughter, and after some urging from his wife, he submitted the idea to Lego, to the company.
That's amazing.
So he needs 10,000 signatures for the Lego Review Board to consider his idea for this to be made into an official set.
Well, if you're a fan of the movie A Christmas Story, and really who isn't, you're going to love this. A New York State man has built the movie's iconic home all out of Legos, and now he's hoping Lego will sell a set based on his design.
Well, a New York man has created a Lego replica of the house in the 1983 classic A Christmas Story. Who doesn't love A Christmas Story? It was a family project that took 6 months to complete.
You need to see the leg in the window.
Does that
help you? Because that's the house from A Christmas Story.
Which you can see was really nicely captured compared to the original. The house separates into 3 sections, and on each floor there's lots of rooms and spaces featuring tons of great moments from the movie, as well as some really key items and outfits, such as the iconic leg lamp.
It all started with his daughter's love for Legos, so he built a model of that family's home for her one Christmas. Then he decided to build one from A Christmas Story. Well, now he wants Lego to consider selling that set based on his idea. So he even found the fragile box
He found everything.
and the leg lamp?
I'm sure he did. Yes, he made something that looked like a leg lamp.
And Ralphie in a bunny pajamas?
Everything you can think of, he has in this house.
What about the BB gun?
You shoot your eye out, kid.
Well, you knew that movie well.
I've seen it a couple thousand times. I think that's a great idea, right? Did you watch that movie with your kids?
Yes.
And still do.
Yes.
It's about the turkey on the table. It's such a good scene.
All right, pretty cool. But I love it. I'm gonna be one of the 10,000 signatures showing my support.
It's on display at the actual house where A Christmas Story was filmed.
But how? Come on.
The attention to
There is
detail.
a lamp in the window, everyone.
Yeah.
There's the pink nightmare bunny pajamas.
The turkey in the oven.
Fans of Lego and A Christmas Story have voted, and the Lego version of the house has officially achieved enough support to become a real set sold in stores. And New York State resident Jason Midoff spent 6 months building that house, which includes famous scenes and characters from the beloved movie. It now goes to Lego to be reviewed, and if it gets the thumbs up, you could see it on store shelves next Christmas.
This is a family project, and to think that we could make something that could be part of family tradition. So not only the kind of wrapping and putting it under the tree, but something that people could proudly display every year would be a pretty amazing thing.
Proudly displayed Midoff's Lego set, like a leg lamp in the front window.
So plan for Christmas 2018. We still haven't gotten through this Christmas yet, but she's already planning for next year. There we go. That's so awesome. It is very cool. He did such a great job with that.
Sure did. I didn't know this was a thing where if you put together a set and you sent people
No,
Lego.
I had no idea.
I mean, I feel like I had a great idea. Do you have any ideas, Kylie? I'm not sharing them with the rest of the world.
Go away.
See you soon. Can't wait.
Okay, so I put together a little bit of a presentation today. I want to talk a little bit about my experience with Lego ideas, kind of how I came up with the idea, how I ultimately got to this point, and then I'll talk a little bit about how Lego Ideas works, and basically show folks that literally
anybody can do this, which is pretty exciting. So, who is, and I apologize, it's a little bit difficult to see the dark on dark, but I'll talk through it. So, my user ID on the LEGO Ideas site is TWRT0ES. That was actually my old mainframe programmer name when I started as a Y2K consultant updating software for the Y2K fix. But let's start a little bit about who I am. I'm a father and a husband. My wife Tina is right up here. My daughter Jane is right over here. Obviously the inspiration for this. I'm an AFL, and I can tell you when I started this, that stands for Adult Fan of Lego. I didn't even technically know what that was, but it turns out that's what I am. I am semi-proficient in PowerPoint, so I do know how to do a slide deck, so hopefully I can fumble through this. One of the millions of fans of A Christmas Story, and then definitely motivated. I think more importantly though, than what I am is actually what I'm not. So, I am not an architect, I'm not an engineer, I'm not a LEGO employee, I don't have connections to news media. I actually started this project without even a personal Facebook page, so I'm not connected in any way. And the key point I wanted to make is literally anybody can do this, and I'll talk through my experience and how it worked. So a little bit about the KFL year. So AFL is adult fan of Lego, KFL would be kid fan of Lego. So for me as a kid, holidays were always synonymous with Lego. You can see a picture of me over here opening up a Lego set for Christmas, and there's my daughter, probably about the same age, opening up one as well. So it's always been a part of holiday tradition for me. When I was a kid, I consider myself anti-mock. So mock is my own creation, building your own things with Lego. And when I was a kid, I really put together everything per the instructions. It wasn't really until I became an adult, started building things for my daughter, that I started kind of figuring out, well, what can I make on my own? So my parents' house then became inundated with a whole bunch of Legos, or Lego bricks, so we ended up putting those in storage boxes, and it wasn't until many years later with my daughter Jane that we ended up breaking those out. And of course, those boxes with all of the Lego sets in there would be considered Frenchie Lego. Then I kind of went into the dormant period, or what Lego fans call the Dark Ages, kind of which gaps folks from when they're a kid until when they're an adult and actually are reintroduced to Lego. And it was a crazy chain reaction events that actually led me to the point where I came up with the idea and ultimately submitted the set. It all started with a house, not that house, actually my house. And my wife wanted a pool more than anything. I made a deal with her that at some point we would get what we call in upstate New York a camp, a little house on a lake. Ultimately, eventually came and we did get that. Then we needed a little pontoon to patrol the lake. So we needed to make room for that. So we said we need to build a second story over our garage. Well, once we did that, that actually gave us enough space to have a Lego room. And we broke out all of those old sets that I had as a kid. So once we had the Lego room, I actually had some sets that my wife had gotten me as an adult that I never actually put together. I thought now is a great time, we've got the Lego room, Jane and I can sit down, put together the set. So one of the really neat sets that we did was with a set called Cafe Corner, which was one of the first in the series of modulars that Lego put out. And we put that together, and it was another way for me to really understand the way sets can be put together. I'd never put together one of these modulars before. And it's a really great way, even following the instructions, to understand the techniques that Lego uses when they create sets. This particular one was a really good one that kind of put us on the path to building a Christmas Story house. I later found out, by the way, that that does sell for $2,400 new in box. I saw that like the day after I put it together. So if this ends up happening, I guess it all pays off, but if not, so I don't have a ton of experience building my own creations, but there are a few of them that we did do before we did the Christmas Story house. So the first one we did was actually the camp that I talked about. It was a custom one. I did the instructions, I got all the pieces, and I gave it to Jane for Christmas as her own custom set to put together. For that same Christmas, she got a Kindle. So I thought it'd be neat to maybe build a little drive-in movie theater that her Kindle could kind of fit in for her minifigures, and they can all watch a movie on their drive-in. And then as we're doing our Lego room, we also had a bunch of archaeology sets that really didn't fit too well. So we created a museum, and those sets then can fit into the museum. I don't know if we got that. I guess there's no fire. So it got us wondering, you know, my wife had said, hey, these are neat ideas. You should submit these ideas to Lego. And I laughed it off, you know, who's going to want our little customized camp, things like that. But I looked into it, and if you haven't guessed by now, you need to wake up. But yes, you can submit an idea to Lego. There's actually a whole formal process called Lego Ideas, and I'll talk through how that works. So the first thing you do is you take a whole bunch of pictures of your set, or if you do it digitally, download those pictures and a description, upload them to the Lego Ideas site. Then you need to gather support. You need to get 10,000 supporters on the Lego Ideas site. Once you hit 10,000 supporters, that then goes into the Lego review process. Christmas Story House is currently in the Lego review process. And then if chosen, that set would go to production. So in red down here, I tried to kind of put some advice that I've got for folks. And I think one of the key pieces of advice, and one of the things I think I did right, was to get some Lego Ideas experience. 6 months before I ever submitted the project, I actually created an ID on Lego Ideas, and I went out there and I tried to understand, okay, what types of projects are successful? What do people do? I tried to read all the comments, all that type of stuff. So rather than just day one trying to put the project out there, I really wanted to understand how it worked. So some of the guidelines and rules. One project equals one set. So you can't do like, for me I couldn't do, let's say, Christmas Story and It's a Wonderful Life in the same set, right? Not too big. We can't, it's got to be 3,000 pieces or less is what the suggestion is from Lego. And then it needs to be a single license. So again, the It's a Wonderful Life and the Christmas Story, again, 2 different licenses. They would not accept that as a Lego idea. It also can't have any existing IPs. So I listed, and Lego will update these all the time, but you'll see things like Ghostbusters, Big Bang Theory, WALL-E, Doctor Who. They'll no longer accept ideas for those that have already been approved as ideas in the past. No expansion proposals. So as much as folks might want to see Flick with his tongue stuck to the flagpole, they would not allow that as well. They could always expand it, but just wouldn't be a part of the Lego Ideas process. And then great minds think alike. So about a month after I submitted my project, actually somebody came out with the same thing. Ours actually ended up making it to 10,000. The other one did not, but that type of thing happens all the time. People submit similar ideas. So how much time do you have to do this? So you've got 60 days to get your project to 100 supporters on Lego Ideas. If you make it to 100, you get another year to get to 1,000. You get to 1,000, they'll give you another 6 months to get to 5,000, and then you get another 6-month extension to get to 10,000. So all told, there's almost 800 days you've got to get to the 10,000 threshold. We made it with just a little more than a year to spare, but pretty good. You know, it's a lot of time to ultimately get there. So I call this the Lego review life cycle. Can't see it too well. This is gathering support. This is the review period, and then when they would announce results. We actually are in the third review period of 2017, which means we got our 10,000 threshold in December. It's in the review process right now, so the announcement would come sometime between May and September of this year. Hopefully in enough time for Christmas. That's what we're hoping for. So what would you get if you created a set that ultimately became a set? First thing is, yes, you are compensated. You get 1% of the net sales of whatever that set sells. You'd also get 10 free complimentary copies of the set. And then lastly, you would get a bio in the set to talk about you and your project. So there's two major types of LEGO Ideas projects. There's what we call an original project or a third-party intellectual property. So original projects are things like the fishing store, the ship in a bottle, the maze. These are all projects that people came up with that are original. They don't need any sort of licensing. And then there's the third-party IPs, things like Ghostbusters, Back to the Future, WALL-E, Doctor Who. Actually, the creator of Doctor Who, Andrew Clark, is here today. Actually, see him back. He's right back there, by the way. So we got a celebrity in the house, everybody. Give it up for Doctor Who. And Andrew actually has another set right now that's close to the 10,000. I think it's 9,600 plus. So I would suggest folks go out to LEGO Ideas, check it out. You can vote for Andrew's project. That should hit the 10,000 threshold really soon. But the key to understanding that is know your audience, right? So if you're creating an original project, it's more going to probably be the LEGO crowd that you would want to reach out to and collect support. Whereas third-party IP might be a completely separate crowd. People who aren't familiar with LEGO Ideas or anything like that. Obviously, a Christmas Story house would fit into the latter. Tap into emotion. I think this is another key thing, right? You need to reach out to people so that they will then go to the site to vote for your project. So it's got to be some kind of nostalgia, something like that would bring them there to ultimately vote for your site. When I did my project, I tried to take a whole bunch of pictures, scenes from the movies, things that people can relate to. They would say, wow, I really want to vote for that project because I want it. And then I would say fill a gap. I tried to kind of think of, hey, what set would I want? Out of everything that's out there, there's certain things that exist, certain things that don't. This was the set that I came up with that I would want, my wife would want, my friends would want. So I thought we were kind of filling a gap. So why A Christmas Story? And I'm not going to go through all these reasons, but my last update to the project, I actually went out and posted 10 reasons, the top 10 reasons why I thought it would make a good set. And so my thought is, if you're going to create your own project, kind of think of that in your head as well. Try to understand, okay, what would 10 good reasons be why people would want this set? So I kind of came through here. Number one probably is the biggest one for me, and I think the one that's most unique to A Christmas Story house. And that's being able to start a new tradition, right? This is a set that I thought, hey, people every year would take out at Christmas time, and then it could go back with their Christmas decorations or not. But I thought something that could be every single year popular would be something that would be pretty neat to do. So, like I said, I suggest go out and make your own top 10 if this is something you'd like to do. So, how did this process work for me? And it might be a little different than how other people do it, but I'm going to talk about how I did it. So the first thing I did was I made what Jane and I call a tester. We took whatever bricks we had, we tried to kind of design the layout of the house with whatever colors, and you can kind of see they're all funky colors, whatever we can find. And we built that to kind of test, okay, how should this ultimately be laid out? Then we entered it into LEGO Digital Designer software, which is actually free software that you can get from LEGO. The real neat thing about putting it into Lego Digital Designer is it'll also give you a bill of material that you can print off your list of bricks. So if not even if you're not even doing a Lego Ideas project, if you want to do your own creation, you can put it into Lego Digital Designer. Go ahead and get the bricks get the list of bricks, and then go ahead and buy them. So once we did that, it was about a 6-month process of collecting all the exact right pieces. And then we built our first iteration, which you can see doesn't have the snow or anything like that. Then we kind of came to our final version, and from there we actually created multiple versions. So that second house that you see there, I donated it to a Christmas Story House museum in Cleveland. There's actually a house. This house really exists in Cleveland from the movie, so they've got a copy of it there. So if it's possible to build with real bricks, and sometimes you can't, right? There is a cost investment in doing that. I always suggest to go ahead and do that. One thing it does is it lets you prove the design structure to make sure it's all structurally sound. You can also do functional testing. So our house actually has a leg lamp in the window that really lights up. So we're able to kind of test out and make sure that worked. And then you have the ability to do these in-person displays. Like, this is a real fun part of this whole process, is be able to get in front of people, have them see your project, and solicit support. We're not at the point anymore where we need to solicit that support, but this is a really fun part of the process that if you don't have something to show folks, you might miss out on. So next comes the presentation. You got to make sure that your project is presented well so that people will want to go and vote for it. So we wanted to show functional and playable, right? The fact that it's modular, comes apart, that the leg lamp works is kind of more on the functional side, and then the playable side, with all the different scenes in the movie. Again, Jane is 9 years old. We wanted this set to be really fun and playable. So it's important to remember that your set, this project, when you submit it, it's really a proposal to Lego. You're making a proposal and saying, this is why I think this would make a good set, and then going through the process to convince them of that fact. And then considering the user experience is also important. This is actually a mistake that I definitely made. I probably had too many pictures. I probably had too long of a description. Didn't really consider people on their mobile phone trying to vote for it and scrolling down over 20 different pages. So think about the user experience also when you're putting your project out there. And a good way to do that is to vote for other projects. Profile picture is really the most important picture. This is the picture that is shared with your link. Anywhere that this goes, it's going to be your profile picture. If I had to do it over again, I actually would add more to my profile picture. So I would have included the car and the characters, instead of just the house. It might not be as recognizable. So remember that your pictures can be changed, your description. Once you submit it to Lego, it's locked in. The only thing you can do is submit updates to the project, but you can't change any of the original stuff that was submitted. And again, just to reiterate, that profile pic is the most important. So gathering support, if you put a project out there, really friends and family are only going to get you so far. You can maybe get a couple hundred out of that if you've got a pretty big family. But you really need to reach out to others. Lego Ideas in the Wild, this is where you have an in-person display of your project. Lego coined that term. Social media is incredibly important. I think I want to point out again that I started this project without even so much as a personal Facebook page. So you don't need a whole following to start, but ultimately you're going to need social media to push it all the way through. And then news media. You guys saw the video at the beginning. We actually got a pretty good push from the news media, which was very helpful, and that's where a lot of people in turn shared it on social media. So doing your homework is incredibly important. Understand what types of folks might be interested in your project. Then we go out and vote for it. Those are the type of people that you want to write your letters to, so that's a sharpen your pencil. And then stay in touch with folks too. I created a Facebook page for the project. I try to periodically put updates out there. I want to keep people excited. And then lastly, and this is important, and this was something that I had inadvertently done, I created a communication channel. So this is where I had actually reporters and producers and other folks reach out to me. They reached out through the Facebook page, which I didn't even realize would happen. But by creating that page, I created a channel for them to reach out and say, and ask me questions and things like that. So learning from your mistakes, also important to get all the way to 10K. I'll talk a little bit about the experience. I'm almost done, just a couple more slides here. So it was pretty incredible and surreal for us. We were invited to display in the lobby at A Christmas Story the musical. So we got invited back to the cast party, which was kind of neat. We were invited to display the project at a science center. There is our project at A Christmas Story house in Cleveland, where we donated the set. This is us meeting an actress from the film. I don't know how many folks are familiar with it, but she was the angry elf in the Santa Mountain scene. So we gave her a copy of her Lego self and a little leg lamp. This is us meeting the governor of Indiana. The movie is set in Indiana, and we actually ended up meeting the governor, which was kind of neat. And then lastly, we kind of got a media blitz and ended up, shared on the Associated Press, and there's our picture in the New York Post. So very important. Make sure you're having fun if you're going to submit a project. So this is kind of the last slide before I'll take some questions. But getting to 10,000 is just the first part of it. Then LEGO ultimately has to make the idea to produce the set. So this last round, the second review period in 2017, none of the projects made it to 10,000. Made it to all the way to production. But what LEGO did announce is that at least one of the projects from this current review period, where A Christmas Story house is, has made it. So we're keeping our fingers crossed. Maybe that's us. If not, more than one project could potentially make it. So maybe we're in that group. So what they look for is product availability in stores. They don't want your project to compete with other projects. Also, they might have confidential stuff out there, other projects that you might compete with. Licensing possibilities. So A Christmas Story house, the good news about A Christmas Story is it's actually a Warner Brothers owned movie. Warner Brothers did the Lego movie, did the Lego Batman movie, hoping that the licensing wouldn't be an issue. Production capacity, if you make a project that has too many of the same sort of piece that they can't really create, that can cause an issue. The build quality, this is mostly for structure. If your set won't stay together, they can't use it. Feasibility, this is more if you're using older bricks that they no longer make. Playability is another key one. And then, of course, you've got expected demand. Ultimately, the set has to sell. The last one is for the brand fit. It needs to also kind of fit within LEGO's brand fit guidelines. So my last pieces of advice would be to keep that selection criteria in mind. It's all well and good to get to 10,000, but if you can't ultimately get into production, then perhaps it's not going to be worth all the work that it goes into to ultimately get to 10,000. For us, the experience was so awesome. Whatever ends up happening, I'm happy. Don't take criticism personally. You're never going to make everything that makes everybody happy. So take it with a grain of salt. That's usually hard to do with all the blood, sweat, and tears that goes into a project. And then my last piece of advice for everybody, and this is general advice, don't shoot your eye out. So with that, I'm happy to take any questions from folks.